Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we're looking at the Nova class science vessel. So we're going to start off here. I've got a little bit of reading, and we are on Daystrom's website, so we can kind of go through what they have as far as known stats, kind of backstage thoughts on things, and everything else that they have gotten throughout the history of a lot of the Star Trek stuff. Um, I'm going to first read from our Decipher book because, even though it's not a current game system, I think it is a fairly good resource for a lot of these ships. So, uh, initially, the mission profile is a short range research vessel. The Nova class features Starfleet's mission to scientific discovery. The ship succeeds the vulnerable Oberth class and engages in limited duration planetary and system surveys to free up other spaceships for further long-term exploration. The class's primary mission involves following behind the larger exploratory ships to perform extensive research, analysis, and assessment. Extensive sensor palettes and landing capabilities complement the extensive laboratory facilities on board. While limited in speed and armament, the vessel is exceptionally durable, making it reliable in adverse conditions. So, what we're really looking at is this is a replacement for the old Oberth that we first got to see in the Search for Spock. uh, which by the time the next generation comes around and afterwards is really kind of an old, outdated ship. It still had its place because if you're bringing civilian scientists in and you want to give them laboratories and everything else, the actual ship itself did not need a huge crew. And the reason why I say that is in some of the game systems, they've taken the base of Birth minus the secondary hull, and then they've turned them into transportation craft. And I think you only needed a crew of 6 people. The engines are slow and reliable and everything else, uh, and they don't need an extensive maintenance crew or tech crew to keep them serviced and up and running. They can, just kind of trudge along on their own, just needing minor uh, bouts of maintenance. So kind of going from there. So looking at the stats that we have here on Daystrom, which we will go on over to what we have from D6 Holocron. Okay, so it's a science vessel, pure and first and foremost. Now, I know there's been a lot of fan creations where they've taken the Nova as a base class, and then they've taken it into a kind of border patrol vessel. Um, so that would be more, in some other directions, maybe even cutting off a little bit of the height of the secondary hull, um, and all that, limiting some of that because we already have a deflector dish on the primary hull. It's a fun ship to kind of work with and kind of modify for everyone else's personal preference. And I'm not against any of that. It's all in a lot of fun. All right, so what do we know? We've had um, we've had 16 built in total. We've had one lost in all. Let's see. We had the Equinox, which was destroyed. We have the USS Nova, plus whatever 14 others. So it's not a large run of these. Even if you were to say that there was another subclass for doing a perimeter defense ship, maybe another 16 of them done in that same vein, swapping things out. It has a length of 165 meters, a beam of 62 meters, and a height of 34 meters, giving it roughly about 7 decks. Has a mass of 127,000 metric tons, has a crew of 78. Okay, has an armament of 11 Type 8 phaser arrays and two standard photon torpedo tubes. Now, keep in mind, this is what was either mentioned or backstage. Anything white here is, I believe, as I scroll down here, that is all their speculation. Anything canon is in yellow. Anything green is backstage, and your light blue is novel source. So very little is actual canon. So we know Nova class, that's canon. The Equinox, the USS Nova, those are canon. The length being 165 meters, that of course is canon. Everything else here is a lot of extrapolation. Crew 78 canon, all that stuff. So has a cruise speed of 6, maximum cruise is 8, and we can do maximum rated of or maximum cruise is 7, max rated is 8 for about 20 hours. And that was probably brought up in the episode that they had brought the ship in, which I believe was a kind of messed up version of the ship. So we have a beam fire power. Now remember, the Galaxy class, and it's listed here, is a 1000. So has a beam fire power of 120, uh, torpedo firepower is 250, accuracy and all that. I mean, its hull is only a 50 in comparison. So it's not, I mean, it's a robust ship for science, but in the overall sense, it's not a big combat ship. It never was. It's meant as a science vessel. Um, let's see. We do have minor refit cycle is 1 year, standard is 1 year, and major is 6 years. Expected whole life is 120 years, possibly. Diplomatic capability is 1. So maybe you have a high-end science diplomat or whatever, or maybe gets pressed into service for some sort of diplomatic mission. Yeah, you can kind of do it, but it's not really what it's meant for. So, and we'll just kind of move on from there. Okay, so now we'll look at the Nova class here in our D6 Holocron stats. So, of course, looking at it, it's a science vessel. We still have the length of 160. Actually, I think that is slightly different from what we had before. Uh, they have it at a ship mass of 210 metric tons, and I know that's a little bit different. Uh, Starship size is a 5, has an autopilot of 3D plus 1. We do have the crew of 78. Skeleton crew of 8 can do this, can manage the ship, but it's going to be at a plus 10 difficulty. So again, bringing it into like the Modifius, that would be an extra 2 dice difficulty. So if you only needed a 1 or a 2 dice or a success rolled on your d20s, now you would need either a 3 or a 4. Has a passenger capability of 25 for those additional scientists. Cargo capacity is 66,000 metric tons. Consumables for 2 years. We have a standard warp drive of 6. Our max is 7, and our extended max, or overrating it, is 8 for 18 hours. Now that's different from the 20 hours that was listed in Daystrom. So this is where things always kind of get a little different between one source to another. Uh, of course, a nav computer. Maneuverability is 1D plus 2. We have a space rating of 9. Oddly enough, I just realized this. They did not list a atmospheric, but there again, this is a bigger ship and was probably not meant to go into the atmosphere, so that would make sense then. We have a hull rating of 2D plus 2 and shields of 1D plus 2 or 1D plus 1. No. So in that regard, the shields are not as robust as what we've had on some of the other ships, but again, as a science ship, it would make sense. Now, looking off at the pictures here, we have the USS Equinox, and that is the science ship. And then, of course, people wanting to redo the ship into their own likeness and whims and all that. we have the USS Rhode Island, which may not be as much of a science vessel as maybe, like I said before, a perimeter action ship or something else. Um, so, whether the shields would be beefed up on that or left the same, or however you want to look at it, maybe the hull is a little bit more improved and the shields are the same, or maybe both the shields and the hull are improved. However you want to look at it, that is there. Um, Looking at our sensor packet here, we do have passive sensors going out to 6 kilometers with a plus 2D bonus. We have an active scan going out to 13 kilometers with a plus 2D plus 2 bonus. A search going out to 17 kilometers at a plus 3D plus 2 bonus. And a focus out to 500 meters at 4D plus 1 bonus. So actually this sensor packet is very robust. Very nice, especially for a science-based vessel. All right, so they have listed here, we have two Type 8 phaser arrays, which is different from what they were seeing on Daystrom. But we also have, actually in all, I would say we have what, 11 Type 8 phaser arrays. It's just that they're different arcs. So we have front arc for the two, then we have the other 9, 6 are in the dorsal, 3 ventral, covering every other direction. So on our two forward ones, it's a plus 2 fire control, 3D damage, has a fire rate of 3. So we can shoot 3 times per round. Plus the other ones, again, at a fire control of plus 2, fire rate of 1, and a damage of 3D. This really shows how much of a science vessel and how much of a secondary vessel this really is. It is not geared for any real combat, um, scientific missions and stuff like that. We really don't need the bigger, heavier weaponry on there. All right, we do have the photon torpedo launcher. So looking at that, we do have one forward at a plus 2 for fire control, has a spread of 4, and it does 4D damage. Now these are Type 2 photon torpedoes, and it has 30 of them total. We do have 2 Class Delta tractor beams, one forward, one aft, with a fire control of plus 2, and a strength index of 4D plus 2 to try and capture whatever other ships it's got to tow or anything else. Now we do have a tractor beam for the shuttle bay with a 0D bonus and a strength of 3D. Now, getting into all the miscellaneous here, we have 65 basic quarters, 15 extended quarters, 4 luxury quarters, and 8 unusual quarters for all those different beings that need special needs on board of ship. We have 120 escape pods, capacity of 4 persons in each pod. This was commissioned in 2370 as of Earth Reckoning. We have 3 transporter rooms with a capacity for 4 personnel in each pad. We have 3 emergency transporters with a capacity of 14 personnel and 2 cargo transporters for a capacity of 400 kilograms per transporter. Complement, we have 1 shuttlecraft and 2 shuttle pods. Now, I'm thinking in a lot of the other variations, they may try to bump that up a little bit. Uh, Personally, I do like the ships that have a little bit extra shuttle pods there. I think it kind of helps. You can always send down different crews for different missions and so on and so forth. But as we've seen in like Deep Space Nine, the shuttle pods, they themselves, depending on which ones you're getting, can sometimes hold 2 people. So I mean, you can still send down, you know, and again, it all depends on what type of shuttles you have. Um, if you had like a standard Type 6, you could probably get, what, 8 people in your regular shuttle and another 4 people with the 2 shuttle pods. So, you can ferry people back and forth as you need. And of course, we have the transporters, but there are enough cases where transporters don't work or whatever else have you. Uh, and I guess a big part of me likes to keep it a little bit more organic, to have a need to have a shuttle to ferry people back and forth. So, um, just how I am. But with that, this gives us another nice Federation ship, which we haven't done too many Federation ships lately. We've been trying to hit some of the other ships out there because we have a surplus of Federation ships that are on the roster because we needed another friendly ship to kind of find or whatever else, and we've been through you know the NX Enterprise era, the original series era, um, the next generation, of course. Then you have Deep Space Nine, even Voyager, to throw out another odd ship or two throughout all those seasons. You start building up a bigger fleet. So we do have a lot more ships on the Federation side than anywhere else to be able to bring forth and show off to everyone. And of course, in that line, to sit here and say the Vulcans have their own ships or they're making different Federation ships for their own needs. Same thing with the Andorians and um, so on and so forth. Uh, I know if I go too far, I'm going to start throwing out a name that is actually Star Wars, not Star Trek. So I'll stop there before you start doing that. But it's just the whole thing. It's not just Earth that's making some of these ships. It's staying with a certain design, but other cultures themselves needing Federation ships because you're gonna have, as it's been shown on Deep Space Nine for one, um, a ship of whatever, and I think it was maybe it was a Galaxy class, but it was all Vulcans. So, uh, you know, all the different Federation member planets or whatever, they may want their own Federation ships and they may want whatever. So that might be another driving force for so many extra types of ships. So, with that, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for visiting. It's always wonderful having you stop by. Hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next video.